Hi, it's Jeff Allen, another one of the videos on how linguistics relates to user assistance and translation. This specific video, I'm going to be covering the topics of morphology and syntax because they're quite related. And so this is mainly if you want to think at the level of we're going to talk at the level of a sentence, okay? When we talk about utterances, that's usually spoken, so that's phonetics. Talk about sentences and phrases, we're usually talking about written content. And you can analyze a sentence. You can talk about the syntax of a spoken sentence too. I don't want to get into all the details, but it's kind of the word level, beyond the word level, right? It's how the words in speech or text relate to themselves in an order, okay? Semantics, we already talked about how, and so the type of organization pattern. Syntax is looking at, let's take an example of subject, verb, object languages and subject, object, verb languages. And there are some other organizational patterns as well. Usually, we're going to say that syntax is going to expect that you're going to have each word, and each word, you're going to analyze each word at the morphological level. So morphology is the word and the endings, right? Or the affixes, the beginning and the end, right? And semantics I talked about in a different way on how we analyze that from a meaning point, but the actual endings and all that, and how do you categorize those and attach them to the word, and the study of those words and the parts of this parts of that, and look at the parts of speech. And actually, if the word is separate, you might have a word that's all separate called enclitics. It might have the future word, it might be the past, a word that indicates the past, it might indicate the future, it might indicate a certain type of mode of conditional or anything, or it could be attached to the word, right? And so morphology studies all this. So this is a lot of editors use this, right? Editors, when they're editing text, they say, no, this is the wrong ending. This is the wrong plural ending. This is the wrong. It should be an ing word rather than some other word. That's morphology. Okay. Syntax is when you're going to take the flow of the words in a sentence, and you're going to go ahead and say, does this sound natural as a native speaker or not? Okay, so a lot of syntax is saying, is this grammatical or agrammatical or non-grammatical? Agrammatical means non-grammatical. Or is this a questionable grammatical? Because it may be a preference. You have like expressions that come from certain regions. It won't be a specific expression that you would use in one region, but you might hear in another region. So this can come out. An example, I remember when I was married, I brought my ex-wife to the States, and I remember we lived in central Illinois, and at one time she heard someone say, "I ain't got nothing there," and she said to me, "That sounds weird," and I said, "Well, yeah, okay." So we are taught grammar, we're taught grammatical things, we go to school and you have to say this, but I said, in this area, having a double negative, I ain't not, it's okay. The grammar books say it's not right, correct, but in there, people are doing it regularly, it's acceptable in that region. So this comes into semantics, right? Can we say this or can we not? And we can apply that to maybe certain regions, and I'll get into the sociolinguistics part of that in another video. But this is where we determine if it's grammatical, agrammatical, or questionable grammatical, right? And so that's all semantics comes into play. Now, how do you use this? When you are evaluating content, cleaning up, editing it, and now getting to maybe recruitment exams. When you're recruiting someone, you want to go through to how's their language skills, evaluating that. And now look into AI. Is this generated by a human being or generated by a computer? What are the traits of that? Machine translation systems, there's always thing, does it sound word by word, the word to word, kind of the word by word, or is translation, is this fluid, right? All this it comes into the whole area of syntax and morphology. And as we go more into systems that are able to do more summarizing text, doing text summarization or automatic text summarization, doing, we call them prompting now, and ChatGPT, what do you want to call these systems? They're going to be generating text, and you're going to say, does this sound native or not native, right? Does it sound like a human being wrote it? This is, again, syntax, right? So There's a lot of opportunities right now where this is happening, and we're seeing this happening pretty important. Artificial intelligence really is kind of a dominator right now on the news everywhere. And the people that are good at analyzing morphology and analyzing syntax are the ones that be able to do work with the different apps and these different machine algorithms or whatever, to be able to code that, or to be able to analyze it and to say this is good or bad, right? Or good or acceptable. Is it appropriate, inappropriate, acceptable, or unacceptable? That's coming down to syntax at the word order level. And then we talk about semantics and where it comes into the meaning underneath it. So several examples here. And this can happen at a monolingual level for user assistance and a multilingual level when you're talking about between languages, source language, target language, or languages. And sometimes you're going to get into the conveying the meaning, because syntax, if you do a translation, a literal translation, right, the order is going to be different in another language because you're going to be flipping word order around, adjectives, verbs, and all adjectives, nouns, or verbs, and all this stuff. Or where do you place the adverb in a sentence? Or where does it sound right? Because something like the word only in English, you can put it in different places of the sentence, and it actually has a different meaning. So this is where syntax and, of course, semantics come into play. So lots of examples here. And you're doing this, and when you're working, again, content editing, you're using this all the time. And if you're going to be working with trying to do post editing too of content, of automatic generated text, you have to do this to be able to clean it up and make it more understandable. So if you're doing editing or post editing of naturally generated content of some AI or Gen AI system or a translation system, then you're using syntax, right? And semantics as well. So lots of examples, and cleaning up the morphology, right? Because it might have gotten the wrong ending or the wrong affix. Lots of examples here. Just want to give you a few, and then if you have any more questions, go ahead and reach out to me, and I'll answer them. Thanks so much.